Okay, so we'll dedicate today's learning to Serge Shuvah, and then either tomorrow or Tuesday we'll start on Yom Kippur. So if you go to page 173, we learned it last year, but it's a very important little piece here. So this section is on the Serge Shuvah, and Halayla Shacharei Rosh Hashanah, the night after Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah Yistayem, Shana Chadasha Yitchila. So Rosh Hashanah is finished and a new year's begun. V'ashela hi haim tashuv miyad lema sh'asita b'shana shavra. So the big question is, are you going back to what you did last year? In other words, did you just celebrate the holiday and nothing's really changed, or is it really new for you? Habit is a very powerful energy. שמעתי סיפור לא יאומן, פרופסור בכיר באוניברסיטה חשובה בארצות הברית. They heard this amazing story about this senior professor in university, in an important university in the States. מסיבה זו או אחרת, for one reason or another, נעשה שיכור כרוני, became an alcoholic. בשלב מסוים כבר לא יכול היה ללמד, he couldn't continue teaching anymore, והוא פוטר ממשמרתו and he was fired. הוא בילה זמנו בברים ובפאבים, אחרי כמה זמן רצו יחדיו חבריו הוותיקים והחליטו, so he was hanging out in the bars and the pubs all the time, and finally his friends got together and they made a decision. לא ניתן לו להמשיך לשקוע. We're not going to let him keep on sinking. נעשה הכל כדי להעמיד אותו מחדש על הרגליים. We're going to do everything we can to put him back on his feet. והוא אליו ואמרו לו, אנחנו רוצים שתחזור להיות מרצה באוניברסיטה. They came and they offered him his position back. הם שכרו לו חדר במלון מפואר בשבוע ימים. They rented him a room in a nice hotel for a week. קנו לו בגדים חדשים. They bought him new clothing. ואף הצליחו לסדר לו חוזה עבודה חדש באוניברסיטה. They got him a new contract. ואז לילה אחד כשחשבו שכבר השתקם, one night when they thought he was already rehabilitated, עשו לכבודו מסיבה, they made him a party, הם באמת ניסו לתת לכוח, they really tried to give him energy, כבוד, honor וביטחון עצמי and self-confidence. וגם הוא שמח, and he also was happy. למחרת בבוקר, the next morning they come, באו ודפקו אצלו בדלת, they knocked on his door, ולא הייתה תשובה, nobody answered, ובסוף פרצו פנימה, they broke in, וראו אותו רובץ שם לבוש בגדיו הקרועים המלוכלכים. He found him lying on the floor with his clothing torn. Page 174, כשבקבוק ויסקי מונח לידו with a bottle of whiskey in his hand. הוא הביט בהם בעצב נורא, he looked at them very sadly, אמר, אתם יודעים, אני לא חושב שתצליח, I don't think I could do it. I don't think I can succeed. הוא הצביע על הבגדים החדשים שקנו לו ואמר, אתם יכולים לקחת אותם. He pointed at the new clothes they bought him and he says, you can take them. אתם יודעים חברים, זה דורש המון כוח בשביל לא לחזור על מה שהתרגלת לעשות. It takes a lot of energy not to go back to your old ways. לכן הלילה הראשון אחרי ראש השנה חשוב כל כך, that's why it's so important that right on the first night after ראש השנה, הניסיון הראשון, the first test, האם אני חוזר מיד לדפוסי ההתנהגות הישנים שלי, by going back to my old behavior molds, האם אני חוזר לאותה בטלה, am I going back to the same wasting of time? אני רוצה לברך אתכם מעומק הלב, I want to bless you from the depth of my heart. וגם אתם ברכו אותי מעומק לבכם, and you too bless me from the depths of your hearts. שנקבל את הכוח להשתנות, we should have the energy to change. וגם שניתן לזה כוח להשתנות, and we should give each other energy to change. So he says, הלילה הראשון אחרי ראש השנה צריך ממש להיות מיוחד. So the first night after ראש השנה has to be very special. חסידים היו נוהגים להישאר בו ערים. There were חסידים that used to stay awake all night, ללמוד טוב, to learn, לספר סיפורים קדושים, to tell holy stories, לשיר ניגונים טובים, to sing good songs. ואני חוזר ואומר, and I'm repeating myself and I'm saying, הדבר הכי חשוב הוא, the most important thing is שלא לומר שום דבר רע על אנשים אחרים. Don't say anything bad about anybody. וגם על עצמך אל תאמר שום דבר רע. Don't say anything bad about yourself. In other words, just stop repeating your history. כתוב, it says in the last paragraph on the page, ויבטחו בך יודעי שמך, those who trust you, those who know your name will trust in you. אני אומר, ריבונו של עולם, אני כל כך בוטח בך. Master of the world, I'm trusting you so much. אני בוטח בך שתעזור לי להיות אדם טוב יותר. I'm trusting you that I'm going to have that you're going to help me to be a better person. שלא אשוב לדרכי הישנה, that I won't go back to my old ways. זה לא אומר 175, זה לא אומר בהכרח שהדרך הישנה הייתה רעה כל כך. It doesn't mean necessarily that the old ways were necessarily so bad. אבל אני יכול להיות כל כך יותר טוב, but I could be so much better. תראו לכם שאיינשטיין, במקום להיות פיזיקאי, היה נעשה עובד התברואה, זבלן. Imagine if Einstein would have become, instead of a physicist, a garbage collector. אני בטוח שהוא יכול היה להיות זבלן נחמד, I'm sure he could have been a good garbage collector. אבל גברת, איפה היה העולם עכשיו, where would the world be today without Einstein? So maybe it would be cleaner, yeah. So and we learned this last week also, the whole thing of kavod. Just briefly, that kavod, you're giving somebody honor, you're making them more than they are presently, right? You're elevating them, but in reality, you're not really giving them something new. You're only illuminating something which already exists in them. Okay? And the same thing goes with self-respect. Respect your deeper self. Respect your inner self. Right? And the world keeps on, like, the past is so powerful that it keeps on saying, no, you already messed up, you're never going to be any better. And it's so significant to be careful with that.
So if someone wants to give you kavod, do you need to receive it?
You have to take it in the highest way. In other words, if you take it for your ego, it's going to be a problem. In other words, if you take it with the idea of, like, I'm better than somebody else, or I'm so great, it's going to be a problem, serious problem. You're going to crash. But if you take it and you say that this is God's honor, it's God who deserves this honor, and it belongs to Him, then you'll do something good with it. I was just talking with Rabbi Yonah a few minutes ago. By the way, Yitzchak Meir is engaged. Is that Yitzchak Meir?
Yeah.
And Dvorah. Yeah, we got engaged before Rosh Hashanah. There's everywhere, regardless of wherever you are, and like I was telling Meir this morning also about, these girls in that special school, right? Um, whether it's in Israel or in the States or as individuals or as a nation, we have to have that self-esteem, that self-respect. It's so important, right? And you know, did you ever see Schindler's List, the movie? No, but you've seen it. You've seen it. Schindler's List.
Yes.
So there's a scene. Did you ever see it, Mayor?
No.
You know about it?
I do.
Yeah. There's a scene at the end of the movie, like this guy actually, despite the fact that his intentions were not necessarily that pure, but he actually did save a lot of Jews, and he had amassed a lot of wealth during the war. And at the end, the last scene, like he's about to leave because they have to clear out. The war is ending, and anyway, so he's got all these gold watches and things like that with him that he's collected, and he's saying, "I could have saved another person with this. I could have saved another person with this." And instead, he kept it for himself. So it was like one scene in the movie which didn't come across that authentic. But in any case, but the point was, when you start thinking about, you've got these talents, I've got these talents, we could do so much good with it, right? And basically giving honor to somebody else, what's it really about is you're honoring their talents, you're honoring their gifts that they have. So Rabbi Yonah was telling me about this this rabbi that I don't know, he didn't know a story in the Talmud that this guy, was running a brothel basically, and this rabbi took him under his wings. And how did he rehabilitate him? He made him a rabbi. Right? In other words, basically, and then after a while, after a certain period of studying, he says, I gotta leave. He says, but you can't, you're a rabbi now. You can't go back to your old business. And in other words, when you realize that you've got talent, you've got things that you could do, so you feel more of an obligation to live up to it. You feel more of an obligation to do it, because that's why Hashem gave it to you.
Without honor, you feel like you have nothing to lose.
You have nothing to lose. You're already a shmata anyway.
They didn't get hidden responsibility as they grow up.
That's right.
So when one gives, let's give somebody covet, one should think the covet is being given to me for my talent that God gave me.
It's really God's honor. Remember, we spoke about what is the meaning of being holy, right? And we spoke about like a holy musician and one who's not, right? And they're both excellent. The holy one is transparent to his source. So when you're listening to the music, he's allowing you to connect to the same place that he's connected to. The one who's not holy is saying the honor belongs to me. It's a subtle form of thievery, because it really does belong to God. Who gave you the talent? Right? And even if you spent years to develop it, who gave you the ability to do that?
But it works the other way too. That if I'm giving somebody something, I don't say it, but I would think I'm giving something to the talent that God gave this person. I can figure that way too.
What do you mean? Does it work that way?
Okay. Somebody gives me covet, whatever, and I think this person giving me covet, for the talent that God gave me.
Yeah.
What I think is saying the reverse, that I'm giving somebody covet and I'm thinking I'm giving this person cause for the talent that
You
God
shouldn't.
gave him.
You're thanking. You're giving honor to the person for this divine gift that he has. Yeah. But if you're in the manipulation game, like the guy likes honor and you're buttering him up, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I was thinking more of there are certain people I hold in very, very high esteem. And I go over
Right. So
many times,
so that's good.
I mean, I don't say it.
You don't have to
but
say
I
it.
think it.
Yeah. Okay. So that's fine.
I never thought of these things. When I was your age, I didn't think of that.
She was never our age. She was never our age. She's still younger than us.
I've done those things, and then people always need good feedback.
Yeah. It's very important.
I mean, even most modest people, that when you tell them something and they blush, they don't know how to take it, it still strengthens something inside of them.
That's right.
Golda Meir used to tell some of her cabinet, don't be so humble, you're not that great.
Okay, page 176. Hadin Lemala. So he says this is probably one of the scariest things that he ever taught. Mahu Gan Eden, Mahu Gehenim. What is Garden of Eden and what is hell? Tishmu Ma'omer Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh. Listen to what the Baal Shem Tov says. אני מברך אתכם ואותי שנזכה לאריכות ימים. I bless you and myself that we should live long. אבל אחרי 1,000 שנה, but eventually after 1,000 years, כשנעלה לשמיים, when we're going to go up to heaven, ונעמוד בפני בית דין של מעלה, we're going to be standing in front of the heavenly court. מה יקרה? What's going to happen? So יושיבו אותי בכורסה, they're going to sit me down in a nice theater seat, ויראו לנו, they'll sit us down in a little theater, ויראו לנו שני סרטים, they'll show us 2 movies. הסרט הראשון ישחזר לנגד עינינו את כל החיים שלנו. The first movie will show us, will be a review of everything that we've done. כפי שהיו בפועל, as things were in reality. אחר כך יראו את הסרט השני, then they're going to show the second movie, איך יכולים היו החיים שלנו להיראות. To show us what it could have looked like.
What do the words of that mean?
To look like. It's the hit pail. What it's, in other words, our life as it, they'll show us our life as it could have been. Okay. In Yesh Dimyon Ben Shnei Eschatim, if the 2 movies are the same, the Gan Eden, then you're in heaven. But if they're not similar, ze Gehinnom, that's hell. Gewalt, kama ze ko'ev, how painful it will be. אז אני מברך אתכם ואותי, so I'm blessing you and myself, שבראש השנה ייתן לנו הקדוש ברוך הוא טעימה עמוקה מכל מה שאנחנו יכולים להיות. That God should give us, Rosh Hashanah now during these 10 days, a little bit of a taste, a deep taste of what we could be like. ואף אם החסרנו כבר שנים רבות, and even if we've already missed a number of years, many years, שנבין שאפשר ממש לתקן את הכל בדקה אחת, we should understand that we can really fix it all in 1 minute. על ידי תשובה מעומק הלב, by תשובה from the depth of the heart. ויפתחו בך ידי שמך כי לא עזבת דרכך השם. Those who know your name will have trust in you, for you do not abandon those who seek you. Do לכם, you will not abandon those who seek you. דעו לכם, הקדוש ברוך הוא לא מאכזב את אלה הדורשים אותו מייחלים לו בכל ליבם. God doesn't disappoint those who seek him and yearn for him with all their heart. אני מברך אתכם ואותי, and I'm blessing you and myself, שגם אנחנו לא נאכזב את הקדוש ברוך הוא, but we shouldn't disappoint God.
The word disappoint, does that mean that we sinned?
It could be that we didn't sin and just didn't do as much as we could have.
It could just be that we didn't listen to what God was trying to show us.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
We believe that God's constantly trying to show us the path. But someone who is blind to it and chooses to shove God out usually will have a hard time seeing that path. So it could be kind of like
Ignoring your
I guess you
potential.
can like disappoint them, kind of like again, an example with the kid and the parent. If the parent is trying to guide their kid to go the right way and their kid keeps straying the other way, it's kind of like disappointment to the parents. I mean, same way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not to belabor this point, but on the process of doing tshuva again, what I already did tshuva. I'm looking at the word disappoint, and I think that, I didn't do an avera, I disappointed God.
I didn't do an avera and I still disappointed God, you mean? What do you say?
Not still. I did something I shouldn't have done.
Yeah. So is God disappointed? Is that what you're saying?
Am I disappointing God? Or am I saying I sinned against God? Like,
Depends on what it is. Sometimes we do a transgression intentionally. That's one thing, and when it's unintentional, that's different, right? So there's two kinds of tshuva. Page 178. It's amazing, how it's a fast day today, right? Everybody knows.
Yes.
Gedalia ben Achikem. And I don't usually eat much in the morning anyway. So I can't really say that I'm hungry, right? Because it's not as if I didn't have anything last night and so on. But just like in your mindset, you think that you're used to having your morning coffee and a little cookie or whatever it is, but in your mind you feel that you're missing something. So the main point of tshuva is not the fast. The fast is a means to interrupt the normal habits of the day-to-day habits, and say, okay, every day I'm busy feeding my body, I'm thinking about my body, and so on and so on. And what I got to do today is think a little bit more about my soul and what I'm, how I'm living my life and what I need to improve, etc. The Baruch Rebbe also stressed that to give extra tzedakah on the fast day, and he said the money that you save on meals, give that money to the poor families. And by the way, if you want to make sure that your stock is going to people who are working but aren't managing to make ends meet, so there's some people that are taking care of that. There's a family that I pass money on to. So, okay, the money that you gave me, it got passed on before Yom Tov. You should know it went to.
No, that's why I came to, because I really want to.
Yeah, it reached its destiny. So tshuva meir v'tshuva me'ahavim, tshuva out of fear and tshuva out of love. So yesh tshuva me'ira v'yesh tshuva me'ahava. There's two kinds of tshuva. So after we've gotten so much honor from God on Rosh Hashanah, so much supreme sweetness, we have to do tshuva out of love. What is tshuva out of fear? Tshuva me'ira hi kishani asuk rak b'chata'im she'asiti or b'mitzvot shelo kiyamti. Tshuva motivated by fear is I'm busy doing tshuva because I did so many transgressions, there were so many mitzvahs that I didn't fulfill. אבל תשובה מאהבה היא להמשיך אליי שוב לעולם העליון. Tshuva out of love is I'm trying to draw down upon myself that supernal sweetness, that beautiful relationship. Right? אתם יודעים מהו ההבדל בין שני בעלי תשובה? זה העושה מיראה וזה העושה מאהבה. What's the difference between them? תארו לכם, imagine שעד עכשיו לא שמעתי שבת. Imagine until now I didn't keep Shabbos. אני מתחיל ללמוד את כל ל"ט המלאכות. I start studying the 39 categories of work that we're going to have to do on Shabbos. ונזהר מאוד שלא לחלל שבת. I'm being very careful not to transgress Shabbos. אבל יחד עם שמירת השבת שלי, but in addition to my keeping Shabbos, אני מפסיק לומר שבת שלום לכל יהודי. Imagine I stop saying good Shabbos to everybody. אני כבר לא יכול לומר שבת שלום למי שלא שומר שבת. Imagine I find it hard to say Shabbat Shalom to somebody who isn't keeping Shabbos. He says, זה אפשרי רק אם אני עושה תשובה מהירה. That's only possible if I'm doing tshuva out of fear. אבל לא אם אני עושה תשובה מאהבה, but if I'm doing tshuva out of love, you're not going to stop saying good Shabbos to everybody. מדוע? Why is that? Page 179. מפני שאם אדם עושה תשובה מעומק הלב, because if you're doing tshuva from the depth of your heart, מאהבה, out of love, והוא ממשיך על עצמו נועם עליון, and if the person is drawing this supernal sweetness on himself, הוא ממש שמח, he's happy. הוא מלא תודה לקדוש ברוך הוא, he's full of gratitude to God שזכה להכיר את השבת, that he was fortunate to get to know Shabbos, וללמוד איך שומרים אותה, and he's grateful that he learned how to keep Shabbos. הוא מלא שמחה שהוא זוכה ללמוד תורה, המלמדת אותו איך להתנהג כיהודי. He's full of joy that he's learning Torah that teaches him how to be a Jew, בבית ובחוץ, at home and in the street. ואז כשהוא רואה יהודי אחר שנעבך לא יודע, so when he sees a fellow Jew who unfortunately does not know, כואב לו הלב, his heart hurts him, הוא לא שונא אותו, he doesn't hate the person for not being observant, rather, כואב לו הלב על אותו יהודי, he just feels bad for this Jew. הוא אומר לעצמו, he says to himself, הלוואי שגם הוא יזכה למה שזכיתי אני. I wish that he would also merit that which I merited. הלוואי שכל עם ישראל יזכה וידע. If only all of Israel would know, would have the merit to know. אבל אם אני לא רוצה לשמור שבת בכל ליבי, but if I don't want to keep Shabbos with all my heart, אלא אני חייב, but I'm doing it because I'm obligated, מה אפשר לעשות? So what can you do? אני יהודי, I'm a Jew, אם אני יהודי, I'm a mother's Jewish, אני מוכרח לשמור שבת. I have to keep Shabbos, זה מיראה. That is out of fear. נכון? אז כשאני רואה יהודי אחר שלא שומר שבת, אני בעצם מקנא בו. So really, when I see another Jew who's not keeping Shabbos, I'm sort of jealous of him. ושונא אותו, and I hate him. But he's having a good time, he's going skiing, you know, he's doing these things, and I have to keep Shabbos. You know, I remember when I was a student in the university, so Monday mornings, like, you know, when everybody would come back after the weekends, so sadly, like, you know, this one was showing up about how many parties he went to and how many girls he was with, and the other one was, you know, they were playing grown-upmanship, and there were 2 or 3 of us in the class that kept Shabbos, and then they'd say to us, did you have a good Shabbos?
And you're jealous.
And they were jealous, right.
I found it
Now they are.
They didn't know that, but now.
They didn't know, but now they are.
This is my constant struggle, say a Shabbat, right?
Yeah.
I don't feel to do it from being obligated
Yeah,
to do it. Like I want to do it full-heartedly. So
Right.
when I keep Shabbat, because I feel like I'm going into Shabbat,
Right.
because I want to keep it. For all I care when say Shabbat comes and I can continue Shabbat on
Right.
Sunday or Monday.
right.
Shabbat thought that like I don't feel that connection.
You're
to them.
looking at the clock and
I'm
waiting.
constantly struggling inside me, looking.
So
at
the
clock
question
and
is,
this.
the question is,
So it's
how do you deal with it? Okay.
Yeah.
That's a
and
very
then
important
it's funny
question.
because when I mamish feel like I want to keep Shabbos, I could see people like my friends would tell me, "Wow, you missed out. We did this and we did that," and I sit down like, "No, man, I guarantee you, I had a better weekend than you did. I guarantee you."
So the question is, how to deal with when, like Shabbos afternoon, especially, like, did you ever live in England? Northern England or Scotland? You know what time Shabbos ends over there? 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock
Oh, in
at
the
night.
summertime.
Yeah.
And in Australia, 9, 10 o'clock.
And,
I was
and
gonna
in
say four o'clock.
northern England, like 11 o'clock at night. The Jewish boys, when they go on a date, Friday, and then they go home, take a shower, and 10 o'clock they're on shore. It's crazy.
It's hard to fast. So I had one more
And
fast.
it's hard to fast also, right?
I still have it to bed. I was in Australia. Fast came out at 9:30 at night. I was like, oh. Yes.
So the thing that you could do when that happens is to sit down and meditate on what's the reality. Just plain and simple. In other words, like the Rachman says, the mind is like a horse. Whichever way you pull the reins, that's the way it goes. Okay. So let's say, you see somebody doing something on Shabbos, and you say, well, I'd like to do that too, but I can't. It's Shabbos right now, right? Okay. So, but right now, and this is based on the Baal Shem Tov, right now you have a feeling of desire. Okay. So don't choke it, don't strangle it, but rather say, I feel desire right now. Now, let me spend a couple of minutes and think about, what do I really desire? Okay. And sometimes you gotta just do a little trick. Okay. For example, there's a number of them. One of them is as follows. There was somebody here for a meal on Rosh Hashanah, and they were having a very hard time. So I spoke with them, and I wasn't getting through. And it was not that they didn't hear what I said, but it was like, no, I'm having a bad time. I'm like, I can't do anything about it. I'm miserable, this and that, right? So I went and got a glass of water, and I said, here, you're going to have a glass of water, and we're going to make the bracha, and we're going to spend 5 seconds on each word. There's 9 words in that bracha. It's 9 words. It takes 45 seconds. They did it, and it was fine. They sat down and they enjoyed the rest of the gathering. Okay. So what happens there? Is it magic? No, it's not magic. It's just that she spent 5 seconds. Baruch Atah. Focus. It's not a big thing. It's like a total of 45 seconds, right? Right? Say slowly and focus on each word. You shift. There's an actual shift that takes place. You've actually shifted, okay, into a different space. So good. So now you have your desire, and you say, okay, good. And I'm glad I didn't cheapen it for something that I would regret afterwards, but I used it for something positive. Okay. So that's the Baal Shem Tov's story about a Havana Fula, Yevana Fula, and so on, to raise it up and say, so let's say, like, you get frightened of. And I remember this so distinctly. I'm walking to Shul Shabbos afternoon, I'm 17, 18 years old, and 2 little tiny dogs, smaller than this vase with the flowers, jumped out from the bushes, and they had a bark like you wouldn't believe, And I literally jumped into the middle of the street from the sidewalk. Like I just went like that, I didn't know I could jump that far, right? It's a good thing there were no cars. I would have there was no way that any car coming would have stopped. And okay, so now it was ridiculous to be afraid of those dogs. Once I took a look at them, hey, this is crazy, right? But that experience of fear, if I could hold on to that, and the next time that I want to say something bad about somebody, or some Russian horror, or whatever, just to recall that fear, then you're raising it up to what fear is meant to be used for. Okay.
And I was thinking, it's like, if your computer's not working well, then you get stuck, you restart it. You shut it down and restart it, and it sort of gives you a little chance, it's a rebooting.
Yeah.
That's what you need if you're stuck in there.
And the computers, I saw in somebody's book, the computer is a very good parable for so many things, right? So you open up your Google screen, right, and you have all these different things on the screen, right, or your home screen, right. Now, imagine if all those different programs were mixed with each other, you wouldn't be able to do anything, right? So you got to take all those programs and keep them organized, right? Now, then you look at those programs and you say, okay, which of these do I want to deal with now, and which of these am I not dealing with now, right? Which of these are helping me right now? Which of these are causing me anxiety? Okay, let's move it, drag it with your mouse and move it to a different place. Understand? So there's all kinds of things going on in our minds and in our emotions, etc., etc. Okay, good. Some of them are causing a lot of upheaval, and some of them are very important for right now. Okay, so imagine like two rooms, or imagine the different file boxes in your computer. Okay, this one I'm going to move over here for now. This one I'm going to move over there for now. Let's make some space.
Some you need to delete.
And some you need to delete, right? True.
To make room for new things.
That's right. Like one of the commentaries that I once heard, I think I heard it from Neila maybe or whatever. Shem says to Abraham, Lech lecha. Go into yourself. And he says, leave your land, leave your birthplace, leave your father's home. In other words, stop playing those old tapes. Right? Stop playing those old tapes. That you're not good enough, that you can't do this, that you can't, Let's just stop playing those old tapes. Okay? So, we should be fortunate to do tshuva out of love for our sake and for all of Israel. Shlomo once told the story about this taxi driver who became about tshuva, and he told him that whenever Shlomo would get into a taxi, he'd ask the guy for stories or or a joke or whatever. He'd really get involved with them. And so this guy told me that he became a Baal Tshuva. Why? Because he was driving on Shabbos. Now, Shabbos is Tarif Shtayim, it's or double the rate or whatever it is. So he's sitting at a red light and he sees this young man with his kids dressed for Shabbos, and they're coming towards him from the other side of the street. And it's like in a religious neighborhood. And he's thinking to himself, wow, I bet he's going to attack me. He's going to scream at me for being in the car and so on. And when they got up to the car, the guy looks at him with a smile, it's Shabbos. And they walked on. And then he thought to himself, look at that guy. I probably even have more money than he has. But he's walking in the street like a prince with his kids. He's proud. He's happy with what he's doing. And what am I doing? I'm driving my taxi so that I can make some more money. You know why? So that because my son has his own cars, I got to pay for that. And my daughter has her thing, and I got to pay for that. And they don't want to spend time with me. They just want me to, keep on doing these things so that they can do what they want to do, and so on. He says, I need this. He says, I'm going to be a Shomer Shabbos. I want to be a prince also. And that's what it is. Hashem is giving us, Hashem is giving us this day that you're a king. You got to, I don't know if you've done it yet, but you got to take a walk in Meir Sharim or Shabbos. Have you done it?
Mm-hmm.
Go. Friday evening or whatever. The whole place is like everybody's dressed up. Everybody is like royalty.
Mhm.
And these people, they're not wealthy, believe me. But everybody has their Shabbos garment, and they put it on for Shabbos, and they're walking, and it's beautiful, right? So that's the thing is that, you understand, can we do this because we realize how precious it is, or are we gonna, and very often it depends on, we're affected by the people we're hanging around with, and if you're hanging around with people who appreciate Shabbos, it's so much easier. If you're hanging around with people who are like looking at the clock, like when's Shabbos going to be over? I want to have my cigarette already. When's it going to be over? Etc. It gets messed up. And concerning what we were talking about this morning, Mayor was commenting that he was surprised to realize how quickly Jews who came from Europe to America, how quickly they shed religious practice,
On the boat.
On the boat, they were already told, this is America, you're coming to a new country, yeah. And it's unfortunately because they didn't get to experience how beautiful Shabbos was. And and again, without judging them, because where they were coming from, it was very difficult to be Shomer Shabbos, and it took a lot of Mesiras Nefesh. It was a serious problem, and it is today too. I did a Shabbaton in Bath, Maine, and the Shit comes up to me and he says to me, I'd love to keep Shabbos, but he says I'm a store manager at Home Depot, and Shabbos is the big business day. And he says, if I would be Shomer Shabbos, I'd lose my job. Until this, and it used to be like a widespread thing that it was very difficult to be Shomer Shabbos and have it and keep your job. Now it's easier, but but then you get these people that's now the stores are open 7 days a week, etc., etc. Very hard for them to be Shomer Shabbos, and there's always this debate that goes on here in Israel because legally Shabbos everybody's supposed to be closed, and
I was amazed at how much stuff was open.
yeah, and they get fined, but they just laugh it off and so on. They're not supposed to be open on Shabbos. Shabbos is the day of rest for the whole country.
The whole country.
Yeah. For the Jews, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now some argue and they say, well, like students, they say, well, they make their money on the weekend. On the other hand, what ends up is that people who are in the lower class, they're going to be the ones who are going to end up taking those jobs, and they're going to end up working 7 days a week. So they're getting robbed of a day of rest, because that's what happens. Like, who takes these weekend jobs? It's the people who
Don't have the option.
who don't have the option. So you're a day of rest from these people.
The largest retailer in the world is open not only 7 days a week, but 24 hours a day.
24 hours a day now.
There's a true event in Toronto that in the Toronto that in the Shlomo Reichman. They're multi-millionaire builders, whatever it is. They have written in every contract that they sign.
When they're building and so on, that no work is going to be done on Shabbos. And Yehuda Hamilton's father works for this company B&H Photo. Have you heard of them?
Yeah. I bought from you.
Yeah, they are told that even their website is closed on Shabbos and holidays.
Uh-huh.
Even their website is closed. They have Kanahara, they have 1,800 employees, and nobody works on the Jewish holidays and on Shabbos. And even the website, you can't order anything from them on the website on Shabbos and Yom Tov.
So it can be done.
It can be done. You got to have the faith that you can do
And
it.
it's excellent. Huh?
Yeah, they're practicing the values that the Torah teaches, and it definitely can be done.
In my parents' generation, perhaps you remember this. If you don't come in on Saturday, don't come in on Monday.
Don't come right, yeah.
So after my mother lost several jobs like this, I'm not sure who told her, her mother or whoever, says, start work. Don't say anything about Shabbos. You do your best work. And come Friday afternoon and then tell the boss. And that's what my mother did. So the boss looked at it. And my mother he said, okay. His daughter, the boss's daughter, came in and filled in for my mother. But she wasn't sure, my mother, if she should come back to work. So she came in Monday, expecting to be fired. And nobody said anything to her.
Yeah.
And while she worked at this particular place, she got off on Shabbos, on Friday afternoon.
Yeah, my father, Alav Shalom, so before he lived through 2 world wars. Right? So before the Second World War, he was already married, he had 4 children, he had a business going, and then he lost everything, right? I don't know where he got the strength to get married again after the war. He got married again, and had 2 more children, my brother and myself. And for 2 years, he actually worked as a janitor. This was in Paris. And then he got into the paper box business, shoe boxes, things like that. And then 1951, we moved to Canada. So he went to work in a company that made paper boxes. We had arrived in a Jewish company, and we had arrived in it was in summertime, so Shabbos would begin like 7 o'clock in the evening or 6:30. Anyway, now he was making $28 a week, and his job was, and the way paper boxes are made, or cartons, is there's a mold, right? And you take a piece of carton, you put it in, and it gets blasted with steam to soften it up. And the mold comes down, and it's tremendously hot,
Embosses it.
and it embosses it, and it gets set in that. Now in those days, they didn't have anything as like workers' safety and protection. Now his job was to lean into the machine, take out the box that was just made, and put in the next piece of carton before the mold came down automatically. Okay. To stand at that machine was like standing next to a furnace. Every 5 minutes, he had to wrap himself in a towel that was soaked in cold water because he just couldn't take the heat. And if you weren't fast enough, You either lost your hands, God forbid, or you lost your job. Okay. After a few weeks, they saw that he speaks some French, that he knows the business. They made him they promoted him to foreman. From $28 a week to $75 a week. 1951. That's good money, right? Then came Rosh Hashanah and Kippur, and they were closed. Came Sukkot, and Sukkot was in the middle of the week, and Erev Sukkot, he goes into the office, and he says, have a good Yom Tov, I'll see you in a couple of days. And they said, and what do you mean? He says, well, it's Yom Tov, you know. So they said, you're fired. And so they fired him. And, yeah, but don't go. Somebody's just looking at the sign. So they fired him, and he, being a new immigrant, he broke down, he cried, he begged that they give him back the job at $28 a week. And they gave that back to him. You know. Now, where did he get the courage to do that? I don't know, but he did. You know, and that story has stayed with me throughout my life. You know, that it's very, very, you know, like if you know what it's about, that it's about the relationship, and that whatever hardships one is going through is all for the good, then you can survive it. You know? But if it's all a transaction, it's all about tit for tat. You know, you give me this, I'll give you this. You know, you give me this, I'll give you this. So one of the customs, I'll tell you, I'll finish up with one more story. One of the customs that we do before Yom Kippur is we call it in Yiddish Shlomo Kapparot, right? We'll talk more about basically the ancient customs with the chicken. You probably know about this, and so on, right? Huh?
Never touching the chicken again.
You didn't get with money? Anyway, so this chassid asked his Rebbe, I want to know how to do kapparot. So he says, go to this town and find that Yid over there, the innkeeper, and watch him do kapparot. And the old days, like, you know, there were Jews who had these little tavern inns, general store type of thing. And he's looking at this Yid, and he doesn't seem to be anything. Shalom. כן? באמת? אבל אתה בפרנסה עושי. אתה מה משנה המשפחה? אקרמן.
כן, נעים מאוד.
סבבה ביין?
מצי יבוא.
très bien. דרישת שלום למשפחה. תודה, אתה רוצה להיכנס? ייכנס. Open the door for him. He bought the house from their parents. בוא. We bought the house from their parents. He grew up here, so it's already 12 years ago. Come in. Anyway. Come in. Okay. Viens. בוא, אני מסיים, בוא, ייכנס, כן, אני מסיים שיעור, אז אני עוד דקה אני אהיה איתכם. שבו. אין בעיה. So he sends him to this innkeeper. It's okay. בסדר. And comes the day before Yom Kippur, and he takes out 2 notebooks. In one notebook, he has written all the things that he should have done, that he didn't do, that he did wrong, and so on and so on. And he says, God, you know, I'm sorry about all these things. And then he has another notebook, But all the things that he says, like, my daughter needs this, and this one is sick, and this one is that. And God, I trusted you that you were going to make everything better. And he puts the two notebooks together. And he says, you know what, God, I forgive you, and you forgive me. And he says, Ze kaparati, and he throws it into the fire. Both books. Yeah. Anyway, Tshuva Miyava.
Okay, to that.
They do
So,
the Kapparat and,
yeah, you'll find it. You'll find it all over the